Kanan has a nightmare where he is naked at his wedding, on top of a high building and underwater. He is on a flight back to India from Canada. The flight attendant wakes him up and they accidentally bump their heads. Kanan has come back to India from Canada to get married. Back home, Kanan's family prepare for the wedding. Everyone is in the mood of celebration. Kanan doesn't seem too excited to get married. At home, Kanan learns that he has been born under a cursed star and thinks it's a joke. To get rid of his curse, he must marry a tree. That night, everyone is celebrating and listening to music. Later, Anu notices that Kanan goes to the terrace by himself. He wants to be alone and smoke. He feels that everything is happening too fast. Anu is annoyed, because they've been together since high school, so he's had enough time to decide. Anu is anxious at Kanan's doubts about the wedding, however, he reassures her that he is happy to get married. The next day, the astrologer tells Kanan that marrying a tree will prevent bad luck in their marriage in the future. If he doesn't marry the tree, they might fall sick or have career failures. All their problems will be sorted after marrying the tree. Kanan doesn't believe in superstitions. He circles the tree with string and the ceremony is complete. Everyone else is thrilled and they take pictures. After Kana falls asleep, a ghost enters his room. She fails at waking him up. She lifts his bed and gets him to wake up. He sees the ghost and is very frightened. He hits his head and is knocked out. His family comes in and says it was probably a nightmare. He is too scared to sleep alone, so he and Anu share a bed. But he is still too frightened to sleep. When he returns to his room, the ghost is there. Kanan hides in the bathroom, where the ghost, Shashi, has followed him. He gets such a big fright that he falls into the bathtub. Shashi is stuck there from last night. Neither of them knows why she's there. Kanan says that he got married to a tree. It turns out that Kanan had accidentally married Shashi. Kanan asks Shashi about her life before she became a ghost. He asks her if she has a home to go back to. Shashi gets a flashback of her home. She lived in the village of Phillauri, where her brother worked as a doctor. Shashi looked forward to reading Phillauri's poems in the newspaper each Monday. Her friend was also fascinated by the mysterious poet who wrote under the name Phillauri. The rest of the residents loved the poems written by Phillauri. One of the villagers is a well-known singer, named Lal Phillauri. Most of the villagers love his songs and he loves the attention. He is an arrogant party animal. Back in the present, it is Kanan and Anu's engagement ceremony. Shashi is fascinated with the modern technology of music. She sees a record, which brings her back to her time. The gramophone people came from the city to introduce a singer's record to the village. Shashi's friend, Amrit, wants her to go with her, but Shashi's brother won't allow it. She tells him that she isn't interested in such things. The people of Phillauri are amazed and confused at seeing a record and record player for the first time. People arrive at Shashi and her brother's home, requesting the doctor's help. Someone got into a fight with the British and was shot. Shashi's brother leaves to help. This gives Shashi the chance to sneak out and join the rest of the town and listen to the record. Shashi joins Amrit, and this is where Roop sees her for the first time. The next day, Shashi is tense after buying the paper, because the editor has written a letter in the paper to the poet Phillauri, asking to reveal his or her identity. Amrit thinks it's obvious that the poet and the singer is the same person. Shashi and Amrit run into Roop and his friend. He wants to know why Shashi never comes to hear him sing. She tells him that his songs have no depth or poetry. He is wasting his opportunity by singing meaningless songs. Roop tells her that he writes the poems in the newspaper, but she knows he is lying, because it's she who writes those poems. He recites one of her poems, claiming it as his, and she slaps him. Back at the engagement party, everyone else but Kanan is in the partying spirit. Kanan wants Shashi to leave him alone. Anu catches him talking to someone. He tries to explain that it's a ghost, but Anu thinks that he's cheating on her. She thinks that Kanan doesn't want to marry her. She reminds him of how she helped him go to Canada. He feels forced into marrying her. Anu dances and loses herself in the music. Kanan catches up to her and Anu asks him not to marry her as a favor, because it's insulting. Lal Phillauri is about to perform, but thinks about what Shashi said and decides to quit. His friend tries to cheer him up, but he just wants to be alone. He starts writing new songs, but they don't feel right. He goes to collect the previous newspapers with the poems written by the secret poet Phillauri. He studies the poems and starts singing them. Shashi is sleeping and wakes up after she hears him sing. She joins him. He confesses that he's not the one who wrote the poems. She knows. She admits that she's the other Phillauri in the village and that she wrote those poems. After she walks away, he is left stunned. Roop starts changing his bad habits and goes to pray and serve food at the Gurdwara. Now it is Shashi who starts noticing him more and she develops feelings towards him. She starts delivering the new poems she writes to him. He resists his friend's bad influences, such as drinking. They work together and spend more and more time together. One night, they act on their feelings and kiss. They spend a passionate night together. Shashi tells Roop that she wrote to the editor of the newspaper that Phillauri the singer is the poet who had been writing for the newspaper. This works, as they are both Phillauris. The people from the gramophone company want to record his songs. He doesn't want to take credit for the songs she wrote. She is happy because it's her words and Roop's voice and face. She wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to write and be heard otherwise. There is an urgent knock at the door. It's Shashi's brother. He is angry and hits Roop. He takes Shashi away. Shashi's brother locks her in a room. He didn't get married so that he could give all his love and attention to her. He says that respectable girls don't get involved with men like Roop. The next day, Roop shows up to Shashi and her brother's home. Her brother is very angry. Roop says that he was a bad person before he met Shashi and she helped him become better. He reveals to her brother that everyone reads her poems and that no one knows it's she who writes them. Roop is leaving for Amritsar and will take better care of her once he is back. Back in the present, Shashi gives Kanan marriage advice. He is still unsure if he really wants to get married. Phillauri records his songs, while Shashi misses him. One day, Shashi receives a lot of money from Roop, which he earned from his recordings. Her brother received a letter from him. Shashi's brother admits that he was wrong about Phillauri. He could have made a lot of money and kept it to himself, but he didn't. Roop lol Phillauri is worthy of Shashi. Shashi's brother will arrange for her and Roop to get married on Baisakhi. Kanan knocks on Anu's door, but she doesn't want to open it. Shashi goes in. She lifts Anu's dupatta and drapes it over her. Anu is shocked and faints. When she wakes up, Kanan reassures her that she's a friendly ghost. Anu is only able to see the veil. Shashi again says that she doesn't know why she is stuck there. Anu asks her if she has any unfinished business. Shashi tries to think back. It's Shashi's wedding day, as well as Baisakhi day. Everyone is celebrating and Shashi is very excited to get married. She is anxiously waiting for Phillauri to get back from Amritsar. Suddenly, she gets sick. Amrit wants to call her brother, but she stops her. She is pregnant. Amrit is excited to become an aunt. Shashi is dressed up and ready to get married. Sashi's brother shares the news with her that Phillauri has not yet arrived. He thinks he might have missed the train. There will be another one that evening and hopefully he'll be on that one. A lot of time passes and night falls, but still, there is no sign of Phillauri. All the guests leave. Shashi's brother says that he will arrange for her to marry a doctor from Lahore, to save them from this embarrassment. He says she was left at the altar. She breaks down and cries. She runs away and finds a tree. She climbs it and hangs herself. Anu thinks she's crazy to have died over a man and thinks that Phillauri used her. Kanan wants to know when Phillauri went to Amritsar. Shashi says it was April and asks what year it is. It's 2017, meaning that 98 years have passed. Just then, Kanan's grandmother interrupts them. She comes to give jewelry to Anu. When Kanan doesn't say that she looks beautiful, Shashi tells him to repeat what she's saying. She recites one of her old poems for him to repeat. This reminds Kanan's grandmother of the song from her favorite record. They ask her to show him the record. And there it is, not only Roop lol Phillauri's name, but Shashi's as well. She is happy seeing this. The date on the record is 1919. Kanan's grandmother remembers that this was when something terrible happened on Baisakhi day. Shashi says that was the date Phillauri was supposed to return from Amritsar. Kanan and Anu piece together what happened. The wedding is about to start, but they run off and get in the car. They rush off. Shashi doesn't know what's going on. Kanan says that she wouldn't know what happened, because she killed herself like a fool. Phillauri thanks the record producer and is about to leave. He asks Phillauri to join him, as there is a small gathering nearby, and he will still be in time for his train. After some time, the piece is shattered when the British soldiers fire on the crowd. This event really took place in history, and is known as the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The soldiers blocked the only exit and continued to fire, even after the crowd tried to escape. In the car on their way to Amritsar, Shashi is shocked at hearing this news for the first time. Phillauri is shot and his last words were Shashi. Kanan and Anu finally reach Amritsar and enter the memorial site. Kanan asks Shashi if she sees Phillauri. There are many other ghosts, but she doesn't see him. Then, someone starts reciting one of the first poems that Shashi had written. It is Phillauri, who again recites the same poem when Shashi had slapped him. She breaks down after seeing him. They are both very emotional at seeing each other. After they are done crying, they are very happy. Their pale light transforms into gold. Now Anu can also see them. Shashi lets Phillauri know that she was pregnant. Their clothes change into that of their wedding day. Anu and Kanan are mesmerized at what is happening. Phillauri and Shashi thank Kanan and Anu. Shashi tells them to take care of each other, forever. She returns to Phillauri. They ascend to heaven. Anu and Kanan are stunned after witnessing what happened. Kanan says that if this is what forever means, he can try. Anu says that is more than enough for her.